I first read the book The Mountains Sing when I first came to Vietnam over 3 years ago now. So I don't remember much of the plot, but I do remember how it made me feel as someone who was moving to Vietnam, because the book talks about, I think, 3 generations of a family from the 1930s until today, through the Vietnam War, up until the modern day. And it gives you such a valuable insight into the family structures and the cultural history of Vietnam through the eyes of these characters, which the author helps to build up really well. So I would really recommend this book if you're just coming to Vietnam. But even if you've been here a long time or you are Vietnamese yourself, I recommend to read this book to understand a bit more about the history and the culture of this fabulous country that we all call home.
And the book was fantastic in sort of teaching me not only about the war period with America, but also the time before. So I love the fact that the book was sort of 2 separate timelines. You had the granddaughter sort of in Hanoi during the American War and the aftermath of that, but also the grandmother's story as well in the period before, which I knew far less about. So it was great to hear about that. As I say, the book, I'd recommend it to everybody, especially if maybe you haven't grown up in Vietnam or don't know much about the recent history. It tells you about what the country's been through, which is an awful lot, the struggles, but the strength of the people and the amazing way they've dealt with so many challenges. So a very inspiring, very emotional book at times, and I'd highly recommend it to everybody.
I really like The Mountains Sing because it talks about history, it talks about family stories, it talks about what we have to do during war times and what are the hard decisions that people have to make, but in a very beautiful and powerful way. It conveys a message of peace, of family, and of feminism. So I am really enjoying this read. We are also reading it with a lot of parents in book club, and we're reading it with a lot of students too.
The Mountains Sing is a really powerful story about a family's experience living through the Vietnam War, and it talks about history in a really meaningful way. As it is set in Vietnam, and specifically in Hanoi, you might also recognise some of the names and places.
I think what really connected deeply with me about The Mountain Sings was how much resilience there was in the book. Que Mai talks about different challenges and sufferings that the protagonist goes through, but throughout the book they always overcome them, and that theme of resilience really kind of I was in awe of.